Okay. So welcome back to this next video all about vitality. And vitality is something that I am truly passionate about because I see it in people's eyes. I see it when I'm walking down the street. If somebody has got that health and vitality, you know that they are valuing themselves. You know that they are really killing it at life if they are shining, and you are able to physically notice that sparkle in their eyes. And I'm sure that you know great role models of people who have that health and vitality and how important it is for the way that they do everything in life. It's that underlying X factor that makes or breaks the difference between somebody that's communication is a little bit sluggish, or somebody who is very engaging and very wanting to connect with you because they have a fantastic energy about them. So today we're going to be talking about vitality. We're going to be talking about what stops us from having that vitality within us, and making sure that we can create a pathway to implement those small steps that are going to give us that vitality. When you think about the amount of energy that we have, which is the key ingredient in vitality, we need to come from a place of compassion for our circumstances and recognizing that some people grew up in environments where that was modeled to them and some people didn't. And if you didn't, that's also okay, because you're here now, and I trust that you watching this video means that you're ready to take steps in another direction. And that makes you a fantastic leader for your team if you're just willing to show up and not knowing how to do this, or not being able to even imagine yourself being more energetic or having more vitality, and recognizing that all of these things are skills and behaviors that we need to develop within ourselves. Tony Robbins says it really nicely when he says that energy is a habit. And it is. I remember when I first started waking up at 7 a.m. And it was really hard at the beginning because I used to sleep into about 8. And I recognized that I wasn't going to be able to start my morning routine if I didn't start waking up earlier. So at the beginning, I just started off waking up a little bit earlier, and then a little bit earlier, and then a little bit earlier. And that allowed me to develop that new norm within myself. And with that new norm came a sense of ease, that it was then easier to wake up at 7 a.m. because it was normal to you then. It didn't cost you any energy. So what you do is you create that subconscious behavior, and that's what's going to really help you to develop that default vitality within you once that behavior has already ingrained and it's normal to show up in a way that inspires. And your team just needs you to inspire them. Doesn't matter what the business is, doesn't matter what products you sell, doesn't matter how great a manager you are. Ultimately, you just want to inspire them. And energy and vitality helps people build trust with you that you are going to get them to those outcomes. That passion that you show because you are showing up in a very energetic and positive way, that's what's going to bring your team on board. So I trust that you're seeing how important energy and vitality is to your position as a leader. People are going to want to follow that infectious energy. Actually reminds me of a funny story. I coached the daughter of a networking acquaintance of mine. And I said to him one day, "Why did you choose to get me to coach your daughter?" And he said, "Because it was breakfast time and you were skipping." And I thought that was such great feedback that even in the morning, I'm ready to go, to skip to breakfast. Because I woke up that day, I had a great morning start. I sat and did my meditation, did my yoga, had my coffee, and I was ready to attack the day. And I was skipping to breakfast, and that's how I got a client. And I don't normally mentor sort of younger adults, but in this case, it was a really perfect fit because I recognized that she needed a model that was able to model vitality. And meeting me meant that she was able to access that reality, to access that place where she knew it was possible to be this energetic. You know, if you've got no reference for it, then you cannot access it. If you cannot imagine it, you cannot create it. And this girl now knows that you can live life full throttle 90% of the time because she knows me and she saw me showing up with that vitality every single session, challenging her, being playful, being all of myself that gave her permission to be all of herself. So I thought I'd share that with you because that's the same in your situation. And I know what you're thinking. You may be thinking that maybe you don't know anyone like that yet, but now you know me, and I can be your model for vitality. Or maybe you know somebody, but you haven't thought about them in that way yet. But having that person that you know has access to that kind of behavior, that energy and vitality all the time, instead of just thinking, "Oh God, they're so energetic," asking yourself, how can I change one thing about the way that I'm showing up that's going to lead me to have that energy and vitality? When I was basically learning about coaching, I was learning about all of these different concepts, all these different models, and I realized that the more I immersed myself in something, the more I educated myself on the subject, the more passionate I became. And like I said before, we only have a finite amount of energy to dedicate to one thing. But our vitality, the health that we have, is our biggest resource. So dedicating time to it, taking responsibility to educate ourselves on health, on vitality, is so pivotal to the way that we are going to be experiencing it. So listening to podcasts, reading articles, taking the extra initiative to make sure that you are immersing yourself in an environment where it's just normal. Maybe it might look like prioritizing friends who have that vitality so that you can be around them. You know that those friends are going to help grow you and influence you. And the ones that maybe don't have that vitality, who maybe aren't making conscious choices around their health, maybe that's something that you need to acknowledge. Because subconsciously, we are the subtotal of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And if the people that we spend the most time with are not growing us, not boosting us up, then they're going to be bringing us down. And you might have family members or people around you that just think, oh, that's a load of crap. We're not a very sporty family. Is that really true? Because you can change your entire life and become a completely different person from the person that you were born as. You don't have to let yesterday's limits be today's handcuffs. And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about, is those beliefs that we have about ourselves. Because ultimately, we need to consciously create our reality. We may want to step into another version of ourselves that we just haven't experienced yet. And as you start to do that, you'll start to notice the profound awareness around vitality. And that makes you a better leader, because you know that you're acknowledging people in your workplace that have that vitality. You're hiring people that also share those common values around health. And that means your business will have an energy, it'll have a buzz about it, rather than a workplace where people walk in and it's sort of like, hi, can I help you? Oh, Friday. Yeah, I'm really tired because it's Friday. Is that what we want to strive towards? Not necessarily. I mean, it's a hell no. And when we make that priority for our workplace and for ourselves, we become the model. That is when everybody else in the workplace will also start to value it. So step number 1 for stepping into that vitality is to know what your limiting beliefs are. And a limiting belief is a subconscious belief that we've created about ourselves that doesn't allow us to move forward. And knowing what these limits are, knowing what these stories are that we tell ourselves, is vital to be able to create quantum change in your life. I talked about the morning routine and having that system for yourself. Or some people would say to me, well, I'm not really a morning person, I'm a night owl. What you've just heard there is a limiting belief. They are limiting themselves to be able to access a possibility by believing that they are a night owl and that they can't change that. Do you get that? So they have this core belief that they are a night owl. But everyone knows that you can change that. You've conditioned yourself to be a night owl. Therefore, you can uncondition yourself. Depends on what you want to achieve. You know, if you're happy being where you are, then you can tell yourself you're a night owl and stay up late and then wake up late. But if you want to make sure that you are achieving your checklist before 12 o'clock tomorrow, you need to make those decisions, set those standards for yourself. But you won't be able to set those standards for yourself if you're handcuffed by the belief that you're a night owl. And we all tell ourselves these stories. We all make excuses for ourselves, including me. Nobody has their shit together. Nobody. Everybody is just on this journey of learning and growth. And we all subconsciously develop behavior that we're unaware of, which is why it's fantastic that you decided to do a coaching program where you can grow in an environment of love and support. Because it helps you to be really aware of where your blind spots are, as people gently reflect back to you what they're seeing, as I challenge you to not buy into your own excuses and your own limits. And you can hear these limiting beliefs in your language. You can just start to identify them. So you can hear a limiting belief that says, I am, I must, I should, I won't, all of these I statements, those are all beliefs that we have about ourselves. And a limiting belief is one that is reducing the possibilities. So, I must go and pick up my cousin from the airport. So you have a belief that is your duty, that is your role. But it's also a limiting belief because do you have to? Or could she take a taxi? Or could you arrange for her to have a car? But you can only hear that in your language. And when you're talking about creating vitality within your life, asking yourself, what kind of belief do I need to have to turn this around? Or what kind of belief do I need to have about myself in order to be the most vital, to step into my power? So now you know what a limiting belief is. All you've got to do is be aware. Because as you're hearing yourself talk to people, as you're hearing yourself make excuses for why you don't want to go for a run or why you don't want to have the healthy option, you're starting to get feedback about what's truly going on for you. And if we're just talking without that awareness, then we're just acting in that subconscious default mode. But now you're becoming more aware of that. You can see, okay, actually, I am making an excuse here. And you can also get your family on board, like the 4th quadrant in CAM. Tell your partner, please don't buy into my excuses. It's a really powerful thing to say. My partner and I talk to each other all the time about being a mirror for each other. I want to know where my blind spots are. I want you to share with me what I'm not seeing because I value growth so much. And it's so important for me to be able to have somebody that shares those growth stretches for me. Maybe it's something I'm completely unaware of. And that's okay because you don't know what you don't know. But now when you're aware of them, that's when you can do something about it. So we all have these stories we tell ourselves, and we want to just take ourselves lightly. You don't have to buy into your story. Laugh at yourself. Laugh at how silly you are. Laugh at the bullshit excuses that you tell yourself. Laugh at how your family limited you, and now you've got awareness around it, and you're finally ready to break free. Take yourself lightly will allow you to create new habits, will allow you to wake up earlier, will allow you to step into that vital version of yourself that is there, but you just haven't invited them to the surface yet. So, number 2, creating healthy habits. A little bit each day is going to help you to create that yearly routine. A little bit each day is going to help you to understand more about yourself. And I've already talked about the morning routine, about those little bits every day that we do for ourselves. But healthy habits are also healthy mind habits, having that positive and above the line mentality. Healthy habits are also creating space for yourself during the day when you just need to breathe and experience an emotion. Healthy habits can be making sure that you check in with your roommates to create that communication and conversation. These are all healthy habits. And when you're talking about vitality, it's about engagement. It's about being with yourself and as a result of that, shining for others. So what kind of healthy habits do you know that you need to set for yourself that's going to allow you to experience a different reality? Is it, for example, going to the supermarket and setting a standard for yourself around what you buy? Just buying 1 packet of chips instead of 5. Chips are totally my weakness. Looking at that trolley and asking yourself, does this trolley reflect my values around health? That's a really good way for you to check in with yourself. Are you just doing it subconsciously? Or are you telling yourself, oh, I need to buy this junk food for the kids? That's a really common excuse that I hear. Oh, I just buy that for the kids. Make your kids eat healthy food. Make sure that you are creating your own reality. And as a result of that, they will also have to buy into that. And I know that that's a challenge. I totally get that. But when you're creating those healthy habits, about those everyday things that you can do to help yourself out in the future. Is it making food on a Sunday night so that it's ready for the rest of the week when you don't have time to make healthy food? Is it doing 20 minutes of yoga or something in the morning that's going to help your body-mind connection? Those are really, really healthy habits for you to create in order to create that connection with yourself and as a result show up in a more vibrant way. Now, I've touched on eating healthy, but that of course is the third one. And I'm so passionate about healthy food. Healthy food is the key to life because input in equals input out. Because we are essentially made up of the things that we eat. And I remember I was living in Germany, and my auntie lives in Munich. And I was living in the house with them. And the boy he was about 18, my cousin, and he had exams. And he was just so sluggish and so down. And I said to her, what is he eating for his exams? And she said, oh, well, just what he always eats, just 2-minute noodles. And okay, he's 18, so he should technically be able to make up his own mind. But because there wasn't that environment in the house for healthy eating to be a normal practice, he just didn't know otherwise. But because he was so sluggish and so down, I suggested that I cooked dinner for that week. And just the change in his energy was phenomenal because finally he was eating all of these vegetables and he loves my cooking now, which is awesome. But definitely felt that the lack of awareness around nutrition and around what you feed your body was setting them up for long-term health issues and also didn't help them with their vitality or their energy to be able to do sports. So what can you do about this? How do you know what is healthy for you to eat? I highly recommend going to have an appointment with a nutritionist, and they will help you to create a meal plan. We'll also talk about healthy habits on this program a lot. So make a commitment to yourself. Maybe you already have a really healthy diet, and if you do, that's amazing. Congratulations. Researching what kind of things your body loves to eat that are healthy and what it is how that food benefits you also contributes to that food being able to help heal your body, to help you with your immune system, and to boost your energy and vitality. So what are you taking away from this? What do you feel is the most important part of this conversation for you? Because I know that people are talking about health and vitality, there's all these buzzwords, but truly and honestly, what did you need to hear today that's going to help you change the way that you are thinking about food, energy, beliefs about yourself, that's going to support you to create new habits and ultimately aid to your success? And as you're listening to this, Just recognizing what's going on within you. Just recognizing if there's any resistance. And if there is, that's okay. Because that means that you're growing. And that will lead you to a lot more vitality, energy, and joy in your life as you push through that and decide to be another way. So I trust that you've enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time.